Want to go to Victoria Spartz, the Indiana Congresswoman who sits on the House Judiciary Committee, along with oversight, two key House committees looking into this, besides what's going on in the Senate with the Intelligence Committee. Congresswoman, always good to have you. Let me ask you a little bit about the order of events, Congresswoman. What if the Senate Intelligence Committee gets this info before your committee does?
Well, let me tell you, thank you for having me, Neil. But really the issue we're talking here, that no one is above the law and no one is below the law. So what is interesting for me, we're doing these investigations, but we didn't address when Hillary Clinton had a lot of classified information in her private server. If any private, 18-year-old private in the Army would have this information, he or she would be in jail. So I think it's a serious issue, and we just not need to look into what's happened, but how we can change this, because it's not acceptable. It's a double standard.
You know, I know the big emphasis right now, at least with oversight, will be to talk to the National Archives Chief Counsel. You could make an argument that the National Archives should have known about missing documents, yet they, in all of these cases, Congresswoman, were the last to find out. So I'm wondering if things need to tighten up there. I mean, they are absolutely the purveyor and the holder of these documents and responsible for their welfare.
Well, it seems like this is a pretty pervasive issue, the same issues that we have with FISA violations that we have in Department of Justice and FBI. And we have to start looking into this seriously, because there are some serious national security threats could come out of it. And I don't think we just need to just investigate for the sake of investigation, but actually develop solution how we can go forward, not to have this situation with next administration or this administration again.
You know, Congresswoman, I have you. You stood out among many of your Republican colleagues expressing concern for the ouster from key committees of Congresswoman Omar Rick-Swalwell, that surprised you, and you were not for that. I don't want to mischaracterize how you felt about it, but could you explain?
Well, thank you so much. You know, I wanted to just be very clear. I'm not here to defend any of these Democrat representatives. There is no love lost between them and I. I'm here to defend, you know, the rule of law, the presumption of innocence in due process and freedom of speech. Anyone should be entitled to due process. And if we as Republicans believe in the rule of law, we cannot be hypocrites, and it cannot keep the side, you know, also have a double standard, because otherwise we'll have a tyranny of majority, what they want, and mob rule. And I grew up in mob rule. I'm fine with that. We better have lots of guns and ammunition, but I don't think that's what our constitutional republic is founded on. So I think there are better solutions. Just have the tit for tat, and we can go through proper due process. And there are some legitimate concerns these members need to address, but not through, you know, making messaging.
So when you hear, you know, that Democrats did the same thing, not allowing certain conservative firebrand of your colleagues on their committees, you just don't like the whole tit for tat going on here, that that's not a way to run government.
Well, it is not. And, you know, as I said, two wrongs don't make a right. And we can go and look at it, fixing it. We can establish processes to address these issues, but we have to, you know, support the rule of law. We have to support protection of rights. And as a constitutional republic, I have a problem with that. We were complaining in that committee. I personally stood on the floor and complained to Democrats that they're violating all of our rights of freedom of speech and do censoring of conservatives. So we need to make sure that we're not going to be accused of doing the same. So there are some legitimate concerns, but that is not the way to address. These people have to be able to defend themselves and make their case, and then we have to make a decision.
Congresswoman, thank you very much. You speak your mind very eloquently. Victoria Spartz, the Indiana Congresswoman, who did separate herself from Kevin McCarthy and others in Republican leadership in the House and ostracizing Democratic members, even though she finds them equally repelling, that this tit for tat is counterproductive.